Well, good Wednesday to you guys. It's going to be another active day here across the Tennessee Valley, to say the least. We're going to be tracking out multiple rounds of rain, some of which could be heavy at times. Flash flood watches, I believe they're called flood watches now, in effect for pretty much our entire coverage area. But this morning we're getting a bit of a break in the rainfall. Still raining in spots, but it's generally on the lighter side here in and around Chattanooga. But still, we have some light stuff coming through, and it's been just consistently raining for like the last 18 hours since yesterday afternoon. Many areas picking up over an inch already, some upwards of 2 inches, especially north and west of Chattanooga, up towards Dayton, Dunlap, Monte Eagle, northeast Alabama especially. So we've already had a decent amount of rain, and we have more to come, especially as we get into your afternoon. So as we take a look at your satellite radar, again, the lifting mechanism is to our south. This warm front is starting to pull in that rich Gulf moisture. We're talking heavy rain across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. That's all coming our way a little bit later on. So the rain hasn't even really begun yet, at least in earnest today. We have some snow coming down to our north and west across portions of the plains, Missouri, Kansas, even parts of Oklahoma. And there's a little bit of wintry mix and icing ongoing across portions of Virginia up into the DC area. So very busy day across much of the country. Now for us, we do have the flood watches in effect. A lot of winter alerts to our north, but for us, we'll kind of hone in on what's going on here, because yesterday my video was long, and I don't know if anyone wants to watch 15 minutes of me yapping about the weather, but you know, this is a good time to do an in-depth look at some of the weather that's coming our way. We do have flood watches in effect through Thursday morning, and these little green lines here, that's a flood warning for portions of Bledsoe, Sequatchie, and Marion County. That's the Sequatchie River. And also South Chickamauga Creek, we're going to have some issues as well. Those rivers are expected to crest tomorrow. Again, a lot of runoff over the next couple of days, going to cause the rivers to swell. We'll have that issue with a lot of local streams and creeks here, but we're looking at a flood stage of around 14.5 feet tomorrow, around 6 for the Sequatchie River near Whitwell. That's in that minor range. And then for the South Chickamauga Creek, this will surge to around 20.5 feet by 7 p.m. on Thursday. So just something to be mindful of if you live around those rivers, because there could be some flooding potential in those areas as we move forward, especially tomorrow after all of that runoff today. So something to keep in the back of your mind. Here's a look at your storm tracker. So light rain through this morning, but look what happens as we get into your afternoon. Yellows, reds showing up, popping up on the radar. That's heavy stuff coming down, and that's when we're going to get a lot of that runoff, because the ground not totally saturated. It's still pretty dry from the drought we've been in, but as we get into your afternoon and evening, and we're talking wave after wave after wave of heavy rainfall, and even through about 8, 9 o'clock, we're still going to be dealing with that heavy rain. And here we are, just after midnight, still coming down, wave after wave of heavy rain. Could be a couple of rumbles of thunder, but not expecting anything more than that. And then by Thursday, about 2, 3 o'clock, this gradually starts to taper off. So by 4, 5, 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, just in time for that commute. Yeah, there's still going to be a lot of water on the roads, but hey, at least we're going to have the rain moving out. And then we're going to have some clearing with some sunshine by Thursday afternoon, but still going to have that runoff filtering into some of those local streams, creeks, low-lying areas. So even though we're going to have sunny conditions on Thursday, we still could have some additional flooding concerns. Now here's a look at your additional rainfall over the next 24 hours. Still could pick up another 2, 3, maybe 4 inches of rainfall over the next 24 hours. I think on average it'll be closer to 1 to 3, but the latest in-house model that we have here at Local 3 Studio is picking up upwards of 3 inches of rain in those yellow shades. So again, some pretty good rain coming our way over the next 24 hours or so. Low in threat for some severe weather a little bit later today. Again, that is going to be something we have to watch out for pretty closely, and I'm actually looking to see if we have any new alerts here across the Tennessee Valley, and it looks like we don't. But again, severe weather going to be a possibility mainly to our south, especially across portions of Montgomery down towards I-20, Birmingham, Montgomery, I just said Montgomery, Mobile, Alabama, New Orleans. So this is mainly going to be a Gulf Coast event today. But, you know, some of that instability and wind shear may sneak up into Fort Payne, Scottsboro, Calhoun, parts of Chattanooga County, including Tryon and Summerville. States can't completely rule out some severe weather in these locations. The primary threat would be damaging wind gusts, but there will be a little bit of rotation. The tornado threat going to be highest from Birmingham south to the Gulf Coast. But for parts of Jackson, DeKalb, and Chattooga counties, even southern Gordon County, can't rule out maybe a spin-up tornado. But notice the further north you go, no threat here across Chattanooga, especially north of the Tennessee state line. We're going to be a little bit cooler. That wedging that we've had yesterday, keeping us in the 40s, kind of going to hang around. So there's not going to be a lot of instability to work with today. Going to be more of a heavy rain threat, even for Jackson, DeKalb counties and Chattanooga. Yes, there is a low-end threat, but I just don't know if it'll pan out today. All right, let's keep it going. Let's move to Saturday, because Thursday and Friday we're trending drier. But by Saturday, we're going to have another strong low pressure developing. This is going to bring some snow to the north, and for us, it's going to be more about the rain once again. We'll have waves of rain during the day on Saturday. We'll have breaks as well, maybe even some sunshine. But Saturday night into Sunday morning, there's going to be the threat for severe weather. And I know many of you are thinking, why does it always have to come in at night? It always seems to come in during the overnight hours when we're asleep. Well, before you go to bed on Saturday, have a plan in place just in case a warning's issued, because along this line, there's going to be a lot of wind shear, and there's going to be a lot of fuel in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Not necessarily at the surface, but we're going to have to watch this closely, because when we have these structures, these line or linear storm lines coming through, we can have spin-up tornadoes. We can have straight-line winds. So we'll have to watch that closely. The latest timing between about 10 and 4 a.m. from west to east. Again, that timing will shift, but 10 p.m. Saturday, 4 a.m. Sunday. So early Sunday morning. And then by Sunday around 5, 6 o'clock, that cold front passes us, and we could actually get some high elevation snow showers late Sunday. So cold air is going to move back in. So a lot of changes coming our way. And as we look at the storm fuel, this is at the surface, not going to be a lot of it. So we're going to get temperatures in the low 60s, dew points in the 50s, which isn't very conducive for severe weather. Still can happen, but the best ingredients storm fuel wise are going to be down towards the Gulf Coast. Notice it kind of wanes as it moves up into parts of our coverage area. However, we're going to have a pretty strong low level jet, which is strong winds, I would say about 1,000 to 2,000 feet above us, and that can enhance some of the bowing structures along that main line, which can lead to surface wind gusts upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour. So that brown and pink shade, that's winds above us upwards of 70, 80 miles per hour. So pretty strong, what we call low-level jet stream, moving that moisture and strong wind gusts out of the Gulf. So in that brown shade. That's going to wane as we get into Sunday. So again, that time frame that I was talking about between about 10 and 3, 4 o'clock, you can see those browns moving through. That's the strongest of the upper level winds, which will enhance our severe risk. And then it starts to fade away by the time we get into Sunday morning. So a lot of wind shear with this, and that's why the Storm Prediction Center has outlined that severe risk area for pretty much our entire coverage area. North Georgia, Northeast Alabama, about a 15% chance. But again, as we get closer into range, we'll know the specific threats. But I think damaging wind gusts probably going to be number one, with the threat of an isolated spin-up tornado. So that's the day I'm kind of watching closely for severe weather. And it's going to be even higher across portions of Mississippi, Louisiana. So Dixie Alley, essentially. This will be your highest threat for tornadoes just to our southwest. But again, we're still going to have that potential, and we'll have to watch this closely, especially as we continue into severe weather season. So low-end threat to the south and west of Chattanooga today for severe weather, but I'm more concerned about late Saturday into Sunday. Again, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. current time frame as we move into your weekend. Now let's get to temperatures briefly. I'm going to go over this pretty quickly because we're already nearly 10 minutes in, and I could talk about this all day. It's what I do. It's what I love. But here's your temperatures. So we'll be pretty cool the next couple of days. Sunshine and 54 for your Valentine's Day, 61 on Saturday. That cold front comes through Sunday, so we'll probably start in the 50s and end up in the 40s and even 30s for the higher elevations. Cold air is going to return. That's going to be the big story prevailing coming into next week. So it's going to be colder, temperature trend favoring colder than normal temperatures, really as we move over the next 6 to 10 days. And that's a trend that can continue all the way through the end of the month. So we're doing a pattern flip-flop. It was very warm initially, and now it's going to be a little bit colder as we move into the end of February. So here's a look at your upper level charts. This will give us an idea of how things are going to transpire over the next couple of weeks. So this big blue area you see here, that's going to be our upper level system coming down. surface low pressure, severe threat as we move into your upcoming weekend. Now, as we transition to February 19th, it's going to be cold and active. So could we get winter weather at some point in the middle of next week? It's not out of the realm of possibility because we're still going to have an active storm track. We're going to have some troughing. We're going to have some cold air in place. So it could be interesting. And then towards the end of the month, around the 25th, we're looking at maybe winter making a grand return and kind of sticking around through the end of the month. So it could be a warm 1st of February and then a cold last of February, as we're going to have a blocking pattern in Greenland, which kind of funnels that cold air to the east coast and the southeast, and a ridge building in the west coast, which keeps the warmer air locked out just to our west. So an interesting pattern if you're a winter weather fan. Not saying we're going to get snow, but at least we'll have a favorable pattern for more winter weather towards the end of the month. And I'm already seeing a little bit of a signal February 19th and 20th, which is the middle of next week, I believe next Wednesday and Thursday. The GFS ensembles, and again, this is a lot of runs or possible solutions, what could happen. And I would say about half are picking up on the chance for maybe a little bit of snowfall late Wednesday into Thursday. Again, this is still a week out, but it is interesting to see this coming back into frame, especially after we've been in the 70s. So I'm watching that next week. Again, we got a lot to talk about before that. Flooding rains potentially today, severe weather this weekend. So this is kind of the least of my worries. But I do want to at least let you know that it is a possibility. We'll keep an eye on trends because we're kind of in that range where we're just looking at trends now. But as we look at the chance of an inch of snow or more through that time frame for our European ensemble, about a 10 to 20% chance across North Georgia, Northeast Alabama, with a higher risk in places like Chattanooga up towards Knoxville at 20 to 30% chance. So not a high risk, but it is something worth noting. And the European, or the GFS, also has that potential. Also, briefly, there was a GFS run that came out last night that was indicating a foot of snow in Chattanooga. That's not going to happen. I'll go ahead and tell you, throw that out the window. You'll see it circulating on social media because that's just the age we live in, unfortunately, where information is presented without context, and that's a dangerous thing, but you know, that's a different story. But there is at least a little chance of maybe some winter weather at the middle of next week. But again, more concerned about the rain threat today and the severe threat this upcoming weekend. So a lot of changes coming our way. Again, when you have this warm air mass and cold air masses colliding this time of the year, yeah, you get severe weather, you get winter storms. So it's going to be active across much of the country. For us, it's going to be about the rain today. Several more inches possible, drying out Thursday and Friday, but still could have some river flooding on Thursday as that excess water starts to filter into our streams and creeks and tributaries. And then Saturday night into early Sunday, another round of strong to severe storms before cold air moves in next week. So that was kind of, I guess, your weather in 12, 13 minutes, but hope you stay safe, stay weather aware over the next couple of days through this weekend. And if anything major changes, of course, I'll let you know. Have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.